So yesterday was the 18th straight day of demonstrations in the city of Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Um, so I've got, there was a demonstration and an event in the morning. Um, and then there was some interesting things that attempted to take place later, and I will get into that. Um, so Yeah. Anyway, let's get this article open. I just want to say I was not there in the morning. I was doing this show, and I was like, maybe I'll catch the tail end of it. And by the time I got there, they just finished and were dispersing. Um, and so, yeah. So I was not here. I don't have any live footage, so I'm going off of 13 News Now here. So probably not going to be too great. Faith leaders march in Elizabeth City demanding transparency in the shooting death of Andrew Brown Jr. The faith leaders are demanding truth and accountability in the death of Brown. They held a public rally outside of the Pasquotank County Courthouse. So I want to be, I want to very much so make sure I don't like step on anyone's toes. But I personally appreciate faith leaders for coming out and doing this. They've already came out and have done this. This isn't their first time. This is like their second or third time or something. Um, and so what really, to my understanding, transpired was they grouped up. They did like a 5-minute march to the public safety building. And then they did what amounted to speeches and a photo op. And then they went home. And so I'm going to get into that because I showed up at the tail end of this. And there were a bunch of people trying to organize more protest demonstrations. And then the police just kind of like, did their whole thing. I'll get into that very shortly. I don't know how to turn this off. So it's just going to be there and blocking text. And it's just, can you turn this off? X? No? You just can't turn this off. It just blocks the text. Can't even see the photograph. What a fucking good website. Jesus Christ. All right. North Carolina faith leaders marched in Elizabeth City on Saturday to demand transparency in the shooting death of Andrew Brown Jr. Brown was shot. Okay, I already know that. The faith leaders headed to the Pasquotank County Courthouse where they held a public rally. The clergy included William J. Barber, Dr. Anthony Spearman, and other interfaith and interdenominational leaders. In front of the Pasquotank County Sheriff's Office, Barber laid out a list of demands, among them public release of the body cam video and law enforcement reform. Now, again, I want to be very clear. I am not a religious person. And so that is going to affect the way I cover this. And I want to be very clear that that is going to be affecting the way I cover this. And so I think the idea... Now, if you look at the footage here, you can see that there's, quite a decent amount of people that did their little 5-minute march. And I don't know, personally, I find it a little bit contrite, if I use that word correctly, a little liberalized, of a protest. If you do like a 5-minute march down a street that's already blocked off, and then do like a photo op, and then do like a media release, and then go home. I personally am not a huge fan of that. Like if you're going to organize hundreds of people, and you do something that, again, amounts to a photo op and then tell everyone to go home, I personally am not a fan of that. That's not my style of direct action. It seems a little liberalized. And so I get there around when this photo op was ending, and people are like, all right, let's go home. And there's a bunch of people, like locals. Now, I want to be very clear here. A lot of the people that did this photo op are not locals. Now, some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. And while I appreciate, Mr. Barber or Dr. Barber for coming out here and providing a megaphone to our issues, the way I see it, if you're only going to do a 5-minute march down a street that's already shut down, and then say a list of demands that we've been demanding the whole time, I don't really think it does anything. And then when, again, you disengage people and say, all right, go home, we'll be back tomorrow, while there's a bunch of locals that are actually trying to organize more protests, I think that that's problematic. And I don't want to say that, I don't want to be here and, be this person that goes out there and says, like, we don't appreciate their help. We do. It's just there's a difference between helping, right, and kind of being in the back of local leadership and kind of like propelling them and pushing them forward with their ideas, and taking over local leadership and kind of speaking over them. And that's what I feel. And here's my problem. It's like, if you want to do the photo op in the morning, great, right? If you want to do the photo op in the morning, do your whole thing. That's amazing. But then don't tell people to go home, right? Say, all right, we did the photo op in the morning with the religious people. Now the religious people can go home because that's all they're good for. And then we, the people, can continue marching and shutting shit down. That's what I came into yesterday under the impression of. That's what I was intending on happening. And so many others were intending that on happening. And so we had a group of about 25 people. After the group of about 100 people dispersed, we had a group of about 25 people. And then the police came out and basically told us we had to go home. So this is what happened after we were trying to organize. We went and did like a little lunch break. We had a little bit of break, and then we said we'd come back at 5. And the cops met us here, and I didn't get this whole interaction, but the cops met us here and threatened arrest if we were to continue marching. Now, where's MSNBC? Where's ABC? Where's Dr. Barber? Where's Dr. Spearman? Where's all these other speakers and media members that were so great that they had to get their photo op in the morning? And they're all gone when the cops come out and say that actual local leadership and actual residents of Elizabeth City cannot protest. Where were the cameras? I was the only camera. And I don't want to be like main character syndrome here, but like the reason why I'm participating in these protests, well, number one, obviously, because this is my shit and I love to protest the government. But number two is because I'm going to be the only camera when all the other cameras leave. Right? So the cops see MSNBC, ABC, CNN leave. They see Dr. Barber leave. And then they come out and harass the people that live here. And I'm the only one that got this on camera here. So again, I didn't get the whole interaction. But you can see the police here interacting with them, saying essentially what boils down to, if you make any trouble whatsoever, there's a great possibility you will be arrested. Now again, I'm across the street when this was happening because I was like sitting down on the curb and then the cops came up. But they basically said, if you do anything that has any sort, like if you're loud, if you're on the streets, if you do anything of that nature, there's a great possibility you will be subject to arrest. And so again, I want to be very clear here. I am extremely disappointed with what transpired yesterday because again, you had this great turnout in the morning, and then a bunch of people that don't live here told everyone to go home, while a bunch of people that do live here were trying to organize an actual protest. And I want to be very clear. A rally and a photo op is not a protest, right? Doing a 5-minute walk from, a courthouse to a sheriff's department or whatever on a street that's already blocked out, right, where everyone already knows what you're going to say. That is not a protest. No one is being protested in that circumstance, right? And so I find it, I personally, again, as someone who's been at every single event since Andrea was shot and killed, I have been at the crime scene. I have been in every single day of protesting. I've been at every single event. Now, again, I did catch the tail end of this one, right? And I did miss most of it. But outside of that, I've been at every single event and demonstration. And I want to say, as an Elizabeth City resident, I am very disappointed by the religious leadership for not coming out here for every day. Now, I want to say that some of them have come out here for photo op days. Some people have come out here during some of the other marches. Now, my main disagreement, again, if you wanted to do a rally in the morning, and then that's great, and then we direct that energy into our regularly scheduled evening protests, all right, awesome. That's amazing. But to do the rally in the morning and then tell everyone, all right, we'll see you tomorrow. Go home, we'll see you tomorrow. Because yes, that's what they said. They said, go home, we'll see you tomorrow. What? Right? The local leadership of Elizabeth City has been planning demonstrations every single day at 5 o'clock. Right? And some out-of-town pastors and whatever the fuck they're called, reverends, I don't care, came in, told a lot of other residents with their big badge and their name recognition to go home, while actual residents who were trying to organize stuff were trying to organize a protest for 5 o'clock. And so I just want to say, I hope that this is not the beginning of the end for demonstrations in Elizabeth City. I hope that this is just a blip. But again, where are the other cameras? How come I was the only camera? I got an exclusive, folks. What the fuck? I've got exclusives, folks. I shouldn't be having a motherfucking exclusive of these protests. If religious people can come out here and bring 100 people for their rally in the morning, I should not be the one that has exclusive camera footage of the evening protests. Right? Now, I want to remind everyone, a couple days ago, this guy right here, this guy's name is Felton. He's the lieutenant to the police chief. This is the same dumb motherfucker who arrested protesters a couple days ago. And then, when there was a drunk driving incident where a Trump supporter drunk driver tried to harass us, called us slurs out the window and threatened to hit us with his car, right? This same cop, and you can go back and watch the video, this same cop let them go. A drunk driver, awkwardly, trying to run into people, yelling at people, actually impeding traffic. This same cop let them go. But threatened arrest on a group of about 25 protesters. This is the world that we live in. Are the religious clergy speaking about that? No. Are some of people in the city who are filing all the permits speaking about the injustices? Not really. They're just going home, filing their permit, and then doing a parade. Now, this is and I want to be very clear. I think people have every right to protest in any way that they see fit. Any way that they see fit, they have any right to protest, right? But I think that people deserve to have that same level of respect for other people. So when someone goes out there and says, oh, right, we're only going to protest if we have a permit. What? Now, my personal opinion is it's not a permit, or it's not a protest if you get a permit. It's a parade. That's a parade. It's not a protest. You're not protesting anything. If you have a permit, it's a parade. Right? If you have a permit, nothing is being disrupted. It's a parade. Everyone knows about that. Right? The cops block off the roads ahead of time. Nothing is being disrupted. Nothing is being shut down. It's a parade. Right? And that's fine. If you want to do a parade to raise awareness, okay, that's great. I'm right there with you. I'll march in that parade. Right? But if that's the extent of what you're going to do, and you're not going to actually protest or shut anything down after the fact, then that's where I have the problem. That's where I start to get a little offended. And so I just want to say, me personally, as a resident here, as someone who has attended every single demonstration that has existed since the start of these protests, since Andrea was killed, I am very, 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 very upset by what happened yesterday. About a bunch of people coming from out of town to do a photo op that lasted an hour and then told everyone to go home and not organize any further. Well, I want to say that we didn't go home. Now, we may have not shut anything down. I want to say people decided to not threaten arrest because I was the only person with a camera, right? And so if I were to get arrested, then that video wouldn't be released and no one would know what's going on. So we decided to instead spend a couple hours, about 3 hours, organizing for what to do today, tomorrow, and next week, and next month. So I want to tell, and without, providing any details, of course, today was not wasted. I would say that even though nothing was shut down today, it still was not wasted. We still made valuable progress and strategy, and that will go far. But I really, really want people to know that we cannot let outside, people that claim to be speaking for us take the mic. Now, if they want to amplify our message, that's great. And if they want to like give us the microphone, that's great. And I don't want the microphone. I want to be clear. I don't want the microphone. I want local leadership to have the microphone. I don't want someone that lives like, again, and I respect these people with all due respect, whatever, but they don't live here. They shouldn't be here taking the microphone and then like saying go home. That's not their role. That's not the role. That's not their position. That's not why they're here. They should be here to give us the microphone and to be recording with their phone and be posting videos on their Twitter account and then be retweeting us. That's their role. That's what they should be doing. But instead, I find that some people are taking this as like a photo opportunity, and I find it to be disrespectful. Now, again, I personally think that, again, we have been demanding the release of the footage the whole time. So, yes, Reverend Barber coming out here saying release the tape, brilliant. I love it. But when you say release the tape and then say go home, that's a problem. Now, when you say release the tape and then also we're going to march for another 8 hours, that's my shit. That's where I'm down. That's what we've been doing. Right? But when you say release the tape, now everyone go home, I know I'm a famous person and I'm going to use my fame and I'm going to use my position and my stature to tell people to go home. That's where I've got a problem. And I'm not just trying to pin this on Barber. I'm trying to pin this on just the whole religious people, all of them in general, who tried to take credit for this and specifically tried to tell people to go home. Like, again, that's my main thing. If you wanted to do this in the morning and then, like, you know, say, and there's going to be another demonstration at 5 like normal, then I'm right there with you. I would have loved you. I would have supported you. But when you're going out there and then using your leadership, using your photo op, using your cameras to say, all right, I'll see you tomorrow, that's my fucking problem. That's my fucking problem. So I want to be very clear here. And then, of course, again, because all the cameras are gone, all the cops decide, all right, it's time to threaten arrest. It's time to say, all right, your civil liberties, your First fucking Amendment no longer exists. The Constitution, doesn't exist anymore. What the fuck is that bullshit? What the fuck is that garbage? It's garbage. We have been meeting out here every single day since Andrew was murdered at 5 p.m. Right? Today was no exception. But some people from out of town tried to tell people not to meet up at 5 p.m. And that's my fucking problem. And so we took this opportunity to strategize to prevent this from happening in the future. We took this opportunity to strategize to have multiple other layers of protesting, not just marching, other forms of protesting. So we didn't let this time go to waste. Local leadership, including myself, which I'm not local leadership, so I was just there to be there. But we all decided to do a lot of things, and I'm helping, and we're actually making plans of action here. So I just want to be very clear that there is no fizzling of anything as of this current point. I would say today was probably one of the weakest days of protest action. But I feel like tomorrow we're going to come back stronger. And I don't want to reveal the details of that just yet. If you are an Elizabeth City local and you're watching this live, or if you're watching this right after and, whatever, feel free to reach out to me, send me a message or whatever, and I'll give you some details. But I mean, maybe I'm a paranoid motherfucker, but I'm very convinced that the police watch my show. So I don't want to give them any details that they don't deserve. And so, yeah, Bethany, I could help with a design with the facts that we are working on that. So thank you. If you want to help, reach out to me and I'll try to figure out what to do to put you through to someone else who's working on that. But we are working on literature, so that is something we're working on. But yeah, so I just want to say I'm very disappointed with everyone that participated in the photo op this morning and did not, again, the photo op is great. There was a photo op a week ago that the mayor participated in. And then after the photo op, we did more demonstrations. And that was great. That was wonderful. That was fantastic. Right? But when it's just a photo op, and then you tell people to go home, that's my problem. And so I wanted to be very explicit about that. I appreciate and I love the fact that people are coming from out of town to help us and provide support. But you need to provide support. You can't take the microphone and use this opportunity, to drop your next essay collection or something. You know what I mean? And especially if you're going to come out here with lib shit. That's my thing. If you're going to come out here and say, we need police reform. What? No, motherfucker. We need to abolish the police. We need to decriminalize and legalize all drugs. Because why was Andrew killed? He was killed because people, for whatever reason, think that doing a drug of some description, only a specific kind of drug, alcohol, that's fine, right? Other kinds of drugs are fine. Only specific kinds of drugs make you a terrible, disgusting, evil, violent criminal worthy of being gunned down in the street in a school zone. That's why Andrew was killed, because for whatever reason, over decades and decades and decades, people think drugs make people violent criminals. That's not the case. So we need drug policy reform. We need to abolish drug laws. We need to get rid of them, decriminalize all drugs. We need to abolish the police force. We need to get rid of all these people. We need to prosecute the killer cops that ended Andrew's life. We need to prosecute the judge that signed off on the warrant. We need to prosecute Tommy Wooten. We don't need fucking police reform. Motherfucker. We don't need, we gotta reform the police, y'all. We gotta reform the police. No, motherfucker. We have the names of the people that killed Andrew Brown. We know the names of the people that killed Andrew Brown. They need to be in a jail cell. That is, yes, the videotape needs to be released. Absolutely. But we can't end there. These people are killers. They're murderers. Cold-blooded murder. They need to be held accountable. Police reform is not holding these people accountable. No, it's not. We need to, 1, prosecute the killer cops. 2, remove the role of killer cops so that a killer cop can no longer exist. And then 3, limit what police are allowed to enforce their actions on. And drugs should not be enforced with death penalties. Drugs should not be enforced with lethal actions. If you use drugs and someone finds that offensive, maybe they can call a rehabilitation service and have someone out, like a social worker, come out and have like a 3-hour conversation with you about the direction of your life. And you can make the end of the day, you can make the decision on whether or not you want to go to a free rehabilitation service. That's what we should do with people that use drugs. And again, it should be optional. If someone uses drugs and they feel like they're perfectly fine, right, and they look perfectly fine and they behave perfectly fine, let them use drugs. They're not a problem to anybody. If someone is using drugs and it's a problem with their life and their family is being negatively affected by that, then yes, offer them free rehabilitation services. This isn't hard, motherfucker. We don't need thugs with guns going down and by elementary schools killing people over fucking drugs, dude. Right? And so when I see people coming from outside, coming in here saying, we need police reform, sure. But if you're going to say we need police reform and then say, all right, everyone go home so we can't actually discuss what police reform we need, then that's a problem. You don't live here. You don't have to deal with our police. We do. And so I just wanted to be very clear that I was very disappointed with what took place yesterday. And I hope that does not take place again. And again, I just want to say that what took place yesterday is being strategized against from taking place. So we have put in contingencies for today so that what happened yesterday does not happen again today. Is there still a coffee stain on my shirt? I feel like that's going to be there for a while until I wash it. I can't believe I spilled coffee. I was just looking at the camera. But anyway, so that's what happened yesterday. If anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. But that's the recap.